Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, they're at 12 o'clock today, which was the deadline imposed by President Trump for Hamas to release all hostages. President Trump went on Truth Social and said, look, with this exchange of the 3 hostages, I'll leave it up to Benjamin Netanyahu if they're going to end this ceasefire. It appears Netanyahu had a security meeting at noon, and the ceasefire truce continues. What's the calculus right now, you think, when he had that meeting with his security team for Benjamin Netanyahu right now into deciding whether or not to continue with phase 1 of this deal?
That is the big question that everyone's asking tonight, and the answer appears to be this. The Army has been fighting now for close to 500 days. It needs a rest, low on ammunition. Give the Army a chance to catch its breath and build up its arsenal again. But beyond that, if we go back to fighting in Gaza, we have to be able to say to ourselves, honestly, that the 30 remaining hostages who are alive may not be so. Because if the Israeli Army had proceeded on the assumption once upon a time that if you ratchet up the pressure on Hamas, it releases terrorists, we found out when we ratchet up the pressure, Hamas doesn't release the terrorists; it shoots the hostages rather. And so it's a terrible decision that the government has to make. And I don't think any Israeli government will be prepared to go out to the population and saying, listen, these reunions that we've seen between these families, those 30 remaining hostages are not going to have those reunions because they're going to be executed by Hamas.
Are you kidding me? Like, you do not want to go back to Gaza at this point because you're low in ammunition. You cannot fight the troops or the terrorists of Israeli forces. They are tired. They need to regroup. I mean, are you kidding me? And they fought for 500 days. Like, what about the opposite side? What about your enemy, Hamas? Are they ready? Looks like so. Are they marching on the street? Yeah, looks like so. This is such a lame excuse, but we know that this army is weak. This army, the Israeli forces they have, is a diaper army. They do not have the courage. They would not be going back to Gaza because they know it is a death valley. It is a death city. There is no point of losing my life going and fighting there for no reason, because they fought for 15 months, accomplished nothing. They cannot accomplish anything. It's all fruitless. This guy, he admitted that yes, our army, the Zionist army, they're weak. They need to rest. They need to be on diaper. They need to be on nappies. They need to have those nipples. They need to suck some, milk from their mother's breast. I don't want you to imagine the picture, but this is exactly what the situation of the Zionist forces army. They are not capable of going back to Gaza and conduct a war, and that is the bottom line. Above all of these excuses the Israelis bringing, we're doing this because we believe in ceasefire, we believe in bringing the hostage back, we care for them so much. These are all lies. These are all PR stuff. The main reason behind Israel not going back to Gaza, being so weak and agreeing to a ceasefire deal with Hamas, is because they have an army that is in diaper. They have an army that is exhausted. It doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know how to fight. It has given up. Donald Trump has said about the hostages. Hamas has just released 3 hostages from Gaza, including an American citizen. They seem to be in good shape. This differs from their statement last week that they would not release any hostages. Israel will now have to decide what they will do about the 12 o'clock today deadline imposed on the release of all hostages. The United States will back the decision they make. There is a shock element to this statement. Donald Trump, he wanted to control Gaza. Donald Trump, he wanted to build a Riviera in Gaza. And he wanted to have those beachfront or beachside properties for his son-in-law. He had so many dreams and visions only a few hours ago. All of a sudden, it has become an issue of Israel. They have to decide. It's up to them what they're going to decide with this ceasefire deal. What about your dream? What about your cleaning out Gaza vision? Nothing is panning out, and Donald Trump knows it. On top of this guy, he's talking about the hostages all the time. They're in good shape. Well, if that is so important to you, then why not you call out Israel for not treating the Palestinian hostages in Israel well? They are being abused, they are being tortured, they are being raped, but not a single word from Trump or from anybody for that matter. It is always about the Israeli hostages. Oh, look how miserable they look, how emasculated, they have lost weight, and this happened, that happened. Oh my God, they cannot wait to go back home to their family. They're emotional, they're crying. This is what MSM, Western media, the mainstream media, propagating 24/7, brainwashing all of us that somehow they're treating the prisoners of the Palestinians very well. On the other hand, Hamas, look how bad they are. They're treating our prisoners, our hostages so bad. These people are so evil. So my question to Donald Trump is this: make more sense, be more credible, because you always blame fake CNN, fake media. Only a few days ago, he called out Caitlin from CNN. You are a fake news, you're fake media. While Donald Trump, guess what? By not covering the situation of the hostages of the Palestinians, you're also becoming a fake news yourself. Give me one Palestinian prisoner who was released from Israeli prisons in good health. Despite Israel's ability to provide food and medicine to prisoners, they are released in poor health and starved. So stop you Zionists from outbidding Hamas. You have no morals or mercy, unlike Hamas. Israel enjoyed impunity. Israel enjoyed no blockade, no sanction, nothing was banned going into inside of Israel. Nevertheless, even after living in this luxurious opulence lifestyle, they could not feed the prisoners, the Palestinian prisoners. They did exactly the opposite. They starved them, they tortured them.
That Netanyahu has actually jeopardized Israel's safety is that for years he deliberately used Hamas as a way to undermine the Palestinian Authority, a rival to Hamas which administers parts of the West Bank and has much more legitimacy on the world stage. Experts say that the idea was basically divide and conquer. If Palestinian leadership remains split and one of the main parties at the table has a terrorism label on it, it's going to be much easier for Netanyahu to refuse to engage with them and say that he has no partner for peace. Here is Smotrich explaining that strategy out loud in 2015.
The Palestinian Authority is a burden, and Hamas is a terrorist organization that no one will recognize, and no one will give it status in the ICC. No one will let them lead a decision in the Security Council. The main pitch we are playing now is international delegitimization. Hamas, at this point, in my opinion, will be an asset.
Hamas is an asset. If you are calling the group that has repeatedly killed your people an asset, it shows pretty clearly that what you care about isn't safety, but total control. And for years, Netanyahu's government was actually allowing suitcases of cash to be delivered to Hamas. Something, by the way, that earned suitcases of cash the title most morally disreputable way to transfer money for the 900th year in a row. When that scandal broke, Netanyahu insisted that that money was for humanitarian aid, which still doesn't explain why it had to be delivered in luggage in the back of a fucking car. The point is, Netanyahu took the risk of betting that he could control Hamas and use them to his own ends, and he was horribly wrong about that, to the point that his ministers are now getting screamed out of hospitals. So to recap...
That's the Western media narrative. Somehow Hamas was helped founded by Israel. Well, maybe they thought at one point, as this monster, Bezalel Smotrich, Israeli finance minister, said, that yes, they were asset. Hamas was an asset for Israel. Maybe they collaborated on some issues, but that doesn't mean that the people of Gaza, they did not have any wish, any dream, any desire to be freed, for which they were willing to start an army, a resistance force. For years, the Israeli government has invited tens and thousands of Thai nationals to work in Israel. Yet, the Thai hostages released today were not released as part of the Israeli-Hamas deal. That's because Israel did not negotiate for their release. And that's for one reason, and one reason only. The Thai workers were not Jewish. Welcome to Israel, where non-Jews are considered less human than Jew. If you support Israel's so-called right to be a Jewish state, you are affirming an ideology that regards certain humans as less human than other humans. This came on the BBC. They said, quote, "The release is part of a separate agreement between Hamas and the Thai government. It's not part of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire deal agreed on 19th of January. The West loves to uphold human rights, human values. But when it comes to Israel, Middle East, oh no. I don't care. I mean, Hamas is bad. Thai people, take a look at their identity. Are they Jew? They're not Jew? Okay, so just throw them in the trash bin. Hamas is not a terrorist organization, coming from Voice of Rabbis. Hamas is not the enemy of the Jew. The problem is not Hamas. The problem is Zionism and Israel. Zionism and Israel are the enemies of Jews and Judaism. And this is why we see the ultra-Orthodox Jews, they do not want to enlist themselves, a lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them, into Israeli military, because they believe that Israeli military, the Israeli government, is a secular government. It is not based on the religion of Judaism. And I agree with that, because no religion preach genocide, violence, none of those. So when I said the former Israeli ambassador to the US, Michael Oren, he actually dropped a bombshell, basically what I meant is this guy knows without a doubt what Israel is doing right now is gonna fall apart. Their plan is gonna fall apart. He is actually saying this not to make Netanyahu government angry at him or United States, but to present truth, but to present facts. This is why Fox News, when they interviewed him, they wrote the title on that particular video, Israeli leaders face a, quote, terrible decision, quote unquote, former ambassador says. So Fox News, thank you for inviting this guy who, even though didn't want to speak all the truth, that is going to be very hurtful for the people of the Zionists, but nevertheless, he did speak, and thank you so much for that. Anyone you bring, any guest from Israel, from the Israeli government, this has to be the ex-Israeli government, former Israeli government, will, without a shadow of a doubt, will admit that Israel has been defeated and Israel has lost. Subscribe to my channel for more updates. I'll see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day.